Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me, no special guest, just me. So I had promised you guys a video a long time ago, and honestly, when I did the deep dive into this one, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. It is a lot. It is a very tragic, very brutal, and very overwhelming case in the sense that there's so much evidence. So I'm actually going to break this down into probably 4 videos. They're going to be shorter, but there are going to be probably 4 of them at this point. The first video, I am just basically going to break down or just let you guys know the case, the victim, who she was, the accused, who he was, and just a little bit about them. And then we will move on into the next video after that, go into the timeline. We'll be going into interviews with people that were close to both the victim and the accused, and we'll wrap it up eventually with the court cases that are coming up. This is an ongoing investigation still. There is only one person of interest, and there's just a lot to go over, and I don't want to just drag videos on. So I want to get to the point to each video and edit it, get it out to you guys, and then do another one, and so on and so forth. Now I'm having issues with my camera right now. Well, my phone is my camera, and so you may see me reaching over every once in a while. I don't know why it keeps wanting to do stupid shit. So let's just get into this. I don't know why it's behaving this way, but let me get this out to you before something else happens, because honestly, this is about the 6th time that I'm going to be recording. So part 1 is, like I said, the case, the victim, and the accused. So this case is about a 13-year-old Patriot Oaks Academy 7th grader named TRISTYN BAILEY. She was from St. John's, Florida, a community about 35 minutes south of Jacksonville. She was reported missing by her mother, Stacy Bailey, on Sunday, May 9th, 2021, Mother's Day. Roughly 8 hours after being reported missing, she would be found in a wooded area near a retention pond in her upper middle class home in Durbin Crossing. Her accused killer, Aiden Fucci, is a 14-year-old 8th grader and fellow classmate at Patriot Oaks Academy. Aiden lived in the same neighborhood as TRISTYN, about 0.3 miles away, to be exact, from where her body would be found. 8 months later, into this investigation, Aiden remains the only suspect in this investigation. There is that much evidence, you guys. He is charged with first-degree premeditated murder. He is also being charged as an adult. He's currently being held without bond at the Duval County Jail, where he awaits trial. So, who was TRISTYN BAILEY? Who is this girl? And who better to know her than her family and her friends? And she had a lot of friends. She had a lot of people in the community who just adored her and her family. And they actually did a beautiful celebration of life for her that was, actually, it was aired on some social media platforms. So she was a very big deal in her community. Everyone knew her and everyone loved her. So aside from being a 7th grader at Patriot Oaks Academy in St. Augustine, she was also very heavily into cheer. So into cheer, she actually was on 3 different squads. So that's a lot of work and a lot of dedication. I know, I have girls, so that's a lot. And actually, her mom thought it would be a lot too, and she knew that because TRISTYN had older sisters as well who were in dance and things like that, and she knew that it was going to be a big commitment for TRISTYN, and so she made sure that TRISTYN knew what she was getting herself into and kind of made her wait it out before just going and signing her up at first. TRISTYN taught herself how to do her front roundoffs, back handsprings, and back walkovers and all of that so that she could prove to her mom that she was ready to go, that she was down for this, and she was not going to quit it like she had quit some other things when she lost interest in them, such as swim and lacrosse. She was described as having an amazing, fiery personality. She was described as being the type of friend that anyone would want to have. She always had your back no matter what. She gave 100% to everything that she put her mind to, but she was also very sensitive and never wanted to disappoint anyone. She was an honor roll student, and she was even taking high school courses online, and she's in 7th grade, so she's taking high school classes online already to try to get ahead of people for when she is a freshman in 2 years, basically. So that just shows the type of, personality that she had. She was a real go-getter. She was going places. She was excited about life, and she definitely had the family support that you need to go places in life. It is very important who your family is and how your family believes in raising kids these days. It's a big difference, when you have really motivated, healthy, happy, loving families to support you, you tend to have everything that you need to succeed in life. And she had those things. And she was definitely taking advantage of them in a good way, by, doing everything that was expected of her and more. They called themselves the Bailey 7. It was Tristan, her mom, dad, 3 sisters, and 1 brother. My opinion on Tristan, or what I think from reading things about her, is that I think she was a very sweet girl. I think she was very naive. I think that she had a very bright future ahead of her, and I think she had all the tools to get there. In reading about this case, I think that she started hanging around with the wrong people. You will hear in the later videos about her mom kind of describing her more recently, when this took place, that she was hanging out with some new people in the neighborhood that she had normally not used to hang out with, and that since then she had become a little bit more reserved and a little bit more sensitive, and took to her room a lot more than usual. But at the same time, she's in 7th grade. I mean, that's what they start to do. I have an 8th grader, and I have a senior in high school who also went through 7th and 8th grade, and I can tell you the ups and downs are just crazy. They can look like they're doing things when they're not doing anything wrong. They're just being teenagers. They can snap off at the drop of a dime. They can get real sad out of nowhere, and it's like, when is it a problem? You really have to pay attention. And I don't think at this point in Tristan's life she had a problem. I'm just saying that I think she started hanging around with kids that had issues, and it wasn't good. Unfortunately, she hadn't even been hanging out with them too long or that much, and yet this horrible thing happened to her. So here, here's some pictures of, the celebration of life that they had, and here's some pictures of Tristan so that you can see, she was just a gorgeous little girl, and, she reminds me a lot of one of my other daughters. I have 4 of them, so I know what it's like to raise girls, and I know what it's like to go through that middle school age, where it's like, you don't know, you always seem like you're walking on eggshells around them, but you kind of go off of what you see. The girl's grades are good, she's motivated, she's on 3 cheer squads, like, she seems to be doing amazingly well. So that's my opinion, and that's what her family and friends have said about her. Now, let's talk about who Aiden Fucci is. And the information that I've gained on him is taken from who I believe would know him the best, his best friend and his girlfriend. Yes, he had a girlfriend. So Aiden was a 14-year-old 8th grader at Patriot Oaks Academy, same school as Tristan, which I said prior. And the evidence is going to show what type of kid Aiden was. And obviously we will get there in a later video. But from what his best friend and girlfriend have said about him and had said about him in the interviews that they had with police, He was someone with admitted anger issues. He heard voices that told him to kill people when he was angry. He told people that he heard voices telling him that he was worthless and a disappointment. He always carried a knife on him, and he had 2 knives that were his absolute favorites of all. And he actually had names for these knives. So the one named Picker was a gray and black serrated knife, and it had an orange skull on it. And then his favorite and very special knife was Poker. This was a straight blade folding knife with a wood and brass or gold handle. His best friend said he doesn't care about anything. He also said that he's a pothead, and all he talked about was marijuana. He also spoke about killing a lot. He talked about how he would do it, where he would do it, and when he was going to do it. My opinion, I think he was a very, very troubled kid. But while, you know, I did videos on Ethan Crumbley, the school shooter of Oxford, and I see them both as being very troubled, but I see Aiden Fucci as actually being more of a sociopath / psychopath, where I feel, you know, Ethan Crumbley is more mentally disturbed. So being a sociopath or a psychopath is an actual behavior disorder, as opposed to more of a mental disorder. But we're not talking about that. I've talked enough about that, and we'll talk more about that in other videos. As far as Aiden goes, I don't think that that kid, I don't think that he, I hate to say this because he's a 14-year-old boy, and I feel like he's, first of all, he's innocent at this point. He is the only suspect, and I'm like beating around the bush here because I don't want to just trash talk a kid. But at the same time, I always say I want to give my opinion, and I gave my opinion on Tristan, and I'm trying to give my opinion on Aiden Fucci. Honestly, I think he is evil. I think he was born a sociopath. I don't think anything happened to him in particular to make him this way, per se. There could be things that have, I'm not sure. His dad has definitely had some run-ins with the law. His parents are no longer together. He was living in a neighborhood where the homes are $400,000 and $500,000 homes. They have an indoor pool. And not to say that money makes happiness or money makes, you know, the abuse not happen or anything like that. I don't know if he was being abused. I don't know any of that. No one has ever said anything. What I do know is what came from the people that knew him best. They described him as being numb and not having feelings. Not just not having feelings about other people, but not having feelings in general. Not having feelings about himself. He talked so much about killing and how he would do it and how it would feel to just watch someone bleed out. He talked about things like this very frequently. It seemed to be all he would talk about. If he wasn't talking about getting high somewhere, he was talking about killing someone. And he talked about how he would plead the fifth afterward and run away, fake his own death, and then keep killing people. That is not someone who I feel can be rehabilitated, for one. For two, I don't know that anything that tragic happened to him in his life that would cause him to just flip a switch like that and just become that way. I think he's always been this way. But I'm going to wrap up this video. Just so you know what's coming, you know, we're going to be talking about the timeline. We're going to be talking about the autopsy results. We're going to be talking about the crime scene. We're going to be talking about Snapchats and videos and he said, she said kind of stuff. As I said, there's a lot to go over, and I don't want to miss any of it, but I also don't want to bore you with it. So, because it's not boring at all. So I am going to wrap this video up, and I will see you guys for part 2.
Yeah, yeah.